I'll give you just a few words about my background. I'm Bulgarian, so this is my native language. I learned Russian in school as well as French and English. French, I went to a French immersion school, and then I got eventually a master's degree, a bachelor's degree in French, a master's degree in French, a PhD in curriculum and instruction and teaching languages and second language acquisition. And I have learned Polish in addition and some Spanish just for the fun of it. So learning languages is a great thing to do just for the pleasure of it. But it's also very helpful. When I came to the US 30 years ago, because my husband and I were fleeing the circumstances, the economic circumstances of our country, as many people are nowadays and used to do that. So I wouldn't have gotten a job possibly if I didn't have this education. So it has been not only a pleasure in my life, but something very practical and very practically applicable. So what do we have in the Modern Classical Languages Department to offer to you? First of all, we have bachelor's degrees. Let's start with the big guns. We have 2 bachelor's degrees with 2 tracks each. And a lot of times when students write to me and want to know the difference between the bachelor's degrees, we have the track of language and culture and the track of world languages and cultures for both our degrees, French and Spanish. I usually compare them to, well, the language and culture is in a way a Cadillac track where you really go with a few more classes in the actual language that you're learning. And in addition, you're required to learn a second language, to take at least 4 semesters of a second language. This is probably best for students who are thinking of doing language, and nothing else but language. In addition, we have world languages and cultures track, which in fact has more opportunities for the students to do a double major because it requires a few less classes in the actual first language that you're learning, second language that you're learning. It doesn't require you to learn an additional foreign language. So there is room for a double major. That double major may be another language, and frequently students do that. And that also is a very good track for students who are coming with another degree already, because we have a lot of post-baccalaureate students, but that's not of consequence for you guys. So these are our 2 tracks in each of our bachelor's degrees. So we have 2 BAs, French and Spanish. If you are a native speaker or a heritage speaker of one of these languages, it's fantastic to do a double major, because the first major, your first language major, is going to be relatively easy for you. And then you can add the other language as well. So that's, I highly recommend such a combination. In addition, we have minors, 3 different minors that you can pursue. So if you do a French major, you can do a Spanish minor, or German minor, or a Middle Eastern Studies minor. Now, the German and the Spanish minor and the French minor are, you can understand easily what's going on there. But what about the Middle Eastern Studies minor? That minor too includes a language, and that's Arabic. In that minor, you have to have a minimum of 2 semesters of Arabic, and then you can add a 3rd semester that will be a part of your minor as well if you want. In addition, you add classes from history, from political science, or from the religious studies, philosophy and religious studies department that pertain to the topics reviewed in this minor, and that's how you compose the classes, the 18 credit hours that are required for the minor. So 6 to 9 credit hours here can be Arabic. And let me tell you, Arabic combined with another language, that is an absolutely winning combination. Absolutely winning combination, no matter what your other language may be it French, be it Spanish. Both languages and both geopolitical spaces are related to the Middle East and related to Arabic speaking countries in history and in their current, in their old history and in their current more modern history as well. Any questions so far? I don't know. Am I asking questions? Is it going to be at the end?
There will be questions at the end, but at any time, after years time.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions, feel free to interrupt me and ask them. Yeah. So far we've looked at the bachelor's degrees and the minors. In addition, we're still in the realm of undergraduate education. In addition, we have several certificates. One of them is the certificate in Latin American studies, and I'm sure Dr. Whaling can give more details about this certificate, but that one too contains language, but also some classes that can be taken outside of the realm of modern classical languages in political science, history, or history. Spanish for professionals is a certificate that gives you a great opportunity to delve more in detail in a realm of employment, of human endeavor that is appropriate for your interests. For example, nursing or health services or health sciences is one of the tracks in this certificate. Another one is law enforcement. In both cases, in both these areas, Spanish is absolutely an incredible asset. Or in business, same thing. Spanish is a fantastic asset in business as well. I mean, it's hard to think of any sphere of human endeavor where it will not be an asset. And then you have also the certificate of teaching English to speakers of other languages. So if you are interested in maybe going abroad to teach English to speakers of other languages in Spanish-speaking countries or French-speaking countries or whatever language is that you speak, then this is a great certificate for you. It's 18 credit hours, and all of the classes for this certificate are online, as well as all of the classes for Spanish for professionals. In fact, Spanish for professionals is a standalone certificate, so it's open to the entire community, and feel free to advertise it to people who are interested in pursuing it. I'm sure that having a Spanish for professionals certificate under their belt will bring many professional benefits to them in their place of employment. And so is teaching English to speakers of other languages. So you can have finished your degree somewhere and come to us to get this certificate, the TESOL certificate.
I believe we have a question. I see a hand up in Microsoft Teams.
Sure.
Naja Carter, you can unmute yourself, please, and ask your question.
Naja, hi, my question is, how long does it usually take to complete the certificate programs?
The certificate programs, the Spanish for professionals is 15 credit hours. And so it starts at the level of Spanish 2001. 2001 and 2002, you can complete actually in one semester. We have short intensive classes that you can take if you're in a hurry. There are also Spanish 2001 and Spanish 2002 are offered all semesters as well. So you can take one of these classes in the summer. Then you add 3 more classes to those. So if you start from 0, of course you have to take Spanish 101 and 102 before you take Spanish 2001 and 2002, right? But 2001 is the first class that counts for the certificate. So you have 2001, 2002, and 3 other classes, and those are 3012 and 3014. Those are classes particularly geared toward vocabulary and culture. And then you have 4500. That is a class / internship. Many a time, if you work somewhere where Spanish is applicable at your workplace, you can do your internship at your workplace. If you're not working, if you're a student, then you're going to be looking for a place where you can do your internship. And we should be able to help you select such a place. And we have had students work at different places. I think we've had law enforcement students, we've had nursing students, we've had students working with migrant workers in different kind of businesses, agribusiness, a lot. So, you know, at the fastest, I think you can do it in 1 year. Because you can take 201 and 202 in one semester, 3012 and 3014 the next semester. They're offered all the time as well, except for 3014 is not offered in the summer. And then 4500 the summer or something like that. So 1 year is it is a very reasonable amount of time to do that if you're a dedicated student learner. Yes. You're welcome. Any other questions? Or should I keep going? All right, I'll keep going, and I'm going to talk a little bit about our master's programs in relation also with our undergraduate programs, our bachelor's degrees. So we also offer 2 master's programs. They're Master of Arts in Teaching in Foreign Language Education, French or Spanish, and Master of Arts in Teaching in ESOL, English to Speakers of Other Languages. For both of these, we have a kind of a bridge track that you can pursue since your undergraduate degree. For example, you can have or you can be in a bachelor's degree of anything. You can be a major of anything. And you can do our so-called 4+1 program. In other words, you can prepare by taking during your undergraduate program several master's level classes in your senior year. Of course, there are some qualifications that you need to fulfill to do that. So in order to be in the accelerated undergraduate to graduate track, you have to be a good student with a 3.0 or above. You have to apply for this track and be allowed from the graduate school to take up to 3 graduate classes that will count toward your undergraduate degree. What you're doing here is a legitimate double dipping. A legitimate double dipping. Normally, double dipping is frowned upon, right? Well, not in this case. We have legitimized it here with our accelerated undergraduate to graduate tracks, also known as 4+1 tracks. So for if you're a French or Spanish major and you want to do English to speakers of other languages, you can apply for that in your junior year, toward the end of your junior year, and in your senior year, you can start taking 3 of those ESOL classes that are going to count toward your degree, master's degree as well. That way, you save some money and you save some time. You save some 3 classes in the master's degree. That's at least 1 semester. Same thing you can do for the FLED program. In your time of as a bachelor's degree student, as an undergraduate student, you start in your senior year taking those classes that will count both for your graduate degree and for your undergraduate degree, up to 3. 3 are allowed. That's 9 credit hours. 9 credit hours is not a little money. It's about $2,600 for graduate credits. Those degrees are fully online, except for the last semester when you have to student teach. You student teach in a brick and mortar school, unless it's COVID time, but hopefully it's not going to be COVID time our entire lives. So we're hoping that, next fall we're going to be in normal circumstances anymore. And I highly recommend any of these degrees. For language majors, I would rather go with the FLED degree, because the FLED degree also gives you endorsement for ESOL teaching. So if you get your master's in arts of teaching, Master of Arts in Teaching in FLED, Foreign Language Education, Spanish or French, you also get the endorsement to teach English to speakers of other languages. And if you like other subject matters like art, sports, you name it, you can get endorsements to teach these subject matters in high schools or other public schools by taking the GACE exam, the GACE content exam in these subject matters. The certification that the Georgia certification, P through 12, P is pre-kindergarten, so it's not K through 12, it's even better, is a very valuable one. This is really the Cadillac, Mercedes, Tesla, and Maserati of certifications. It is renewable. It's the highest degree of certification that you can get. And it is accepted by many other states in the US. Most of the time they will have you take some exam or pay some fees to have your transcript recognized or anything like that. But it's really minor things that you will have to do to get your certification recognized and evaluated by another state. Any questions here? I really highly recommend these master's degrees. Even if you don't qualify to start with the 4+1, you can still go ahead and do it after you graduate. You can do it after you graduate, you go get a job, do something else, and then you decide you want to teach. But it's the most economical and time-sparing approach to do it while you're pursuing your undergraduate degree, to start with the 4+1 track and smoothly, seamlessly continue in the MAT programs. And the certification that you get, even if you want to do something else, let's say you want to go to, I don't know, in engineering or something, and then all of a sudden one day you decide, I don't like engineering anymore. What else can I do? Oh, I have the certification, I can teach. Yeah, it's renewable. It's really something that remains with you entire life. Yes, any questions? I think that's my spiel.
All right, thank you, Dr. Nikolova. I don't have any questions. I do have a comment on something you said. We highly recommend students who are unsure about what they want to do in their career path. They feel like they're not ready to be out of the school yet. A great transition period, instead of like going home to like work as a part-time job, is to go to graduate school and figure out what it is you want to do and take some time. But at least while you're taking time, you're actively pursuing something that's going to benefit you in the long term. And the good thing about our office is we not only help with career choices, but we also can help with the application process for applying for graduate school, because it can be overwhelming for some students. So we're here to help in terms of your just your application, the resume that may have to be attached for graduate school, your letter of intent, or some type of statement that's required of your writing. So there's different things we can do. So I highly recommend you guys consider that master's program, especially if you don't know what you want to do yet. It's so much more valuable than just going home and working at a part-time job in something completely unrelated because you feel like you're not ready to go out there into the full career field yet. So that's my 2 cents and my suggestion for anybody who would be considering graduate school. I definitely and support everything that Dr. Nikolova just said.
I can't agree more with that, Phoenix. And thank you for helping the students with their graduate applications. Sometimes they can be daunting, but it really, you have a wonderful office that will help you there. So go ahead and do it. All the applications now for the graduate school are fully online, and they have become a little more user friendly. I wouldn't say 100% user friendly, but they're better now than they used to be. So, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. One thing that I forgot to mention is several other languages, uncommonly taught languages that we offer in cooperation with the Center for International Programs, and those are 4 semesters of Russian, 4 semesters of Chinese. Well, right now we're not offering it because the the Fulbright language teaching assistants cannot come because of the COVID situation, but normally we do. And 4 semesters of Japanese, and Japanese is going strong right now. So don't forget these languages. Also, we have the classic part of us, that's Latin. So you have lots of different choices if you want to add yet another language to your palette of languages. And thank you again.
Thank you so much. That was very great. All right, I'm going to take back control and I am going to hand it over to Dr. Susan Welling, and she is going to talk a little bit more about the MCL department. Go to the next slide. Okay, let's see.
Hey everyone, so I'm just going to talk about why it's important to at least have a semester of language, if not more. If you're bilingual, you're super lucky and very much needed, and you already know, I'm sure it's already on your resume that you're bilingual. But even if you are just taking 1 semester, it boosts your jobs chances. Put your fluency level on your resume as a skill. Highlight any cultural competencies you have. So if you've worked with the migrant community, if you've worked with a Haitian community, just put that you have a beginning cultural fluency, cultural competency with this culture or that culture. You would be surprised at how much that makes you stand out. And same with Spanish. If you're taking Spanish 1002, 1001, you can put novice Spanish and it will stand out. Nowadays, many applications are online, like Indeed and Monster, and those languages pop out and push you ahead of the, how do I just hit enter? Is that it? Mm-hmm. Okay, and that pushes you ahead of the line. Yep. So I'm just going to show you, for example, these are some jobs out there right now. If you're a Spanish major, you in a business major, like a double major Spanish business, even if you're not a business major, like Profit Stars, which is locally on Baytree, or Dollar General, Home Depot, have hired our majors before, and that average starting salary is about $46K. Spanish education, there are many jobs available, and as a department, we have like a 95% job placement record. Those salaries start anywhere from 38 to 50K. This is a job. Clayton County is desperate right now for Spanish teachers, and they have posted this job, several jobs in the last week. I just love teaching. I'm just going to put a pitch in here. Whether you're teaching K-12 or secondary, it's just really a fun job. You change all the time, your students, your classes. And you have at least a 2-month summer salary, summer holiday that's paid, and you have benefits, and you can also do other things like coach or head clubs and teams, and that gives you extra money. I just saw that, so right now there is a deficit of court interpreters. So if you are, court interpreter is more for a bilingual person, but they pay $80 an hour. And I have locally, our 2 interpreters are out of the country, so I'm getting texts every day from the court begging me for interpreters. If you feel that you can interpret, then you can email me your name and phone number, and I'll give it to the solicitor's office so they can text you. It's gonna, let me see, before I go on to the next slide, I wanted to let you all know, in job interviews, my students have told me, like, the second question they're asked are, so tell me what you bring to the table. And if you've had a language class, you can immediately say, well, you know, I can do basic client intake. I can help these people, whether it's Spanish or French or Arabic, whatever. I can help you get this person's last name, set up an appointment, get their phone number, right? Because you know your numbers. And I can provide that where other people don't. And for example, in the Valdosta Police Department, well, in any criminal justice field right now, especially, they're under scrutiny for being sensitive culturally and understanding the needs of the community. So you can say, I can help you with CALIA certification because I bring an awareness of other cultures to the table. And that's something that you can use in an interview. And I'm just going to tell you all that in this region, agriculture is huge. And a lot of us think of mines when we think of agriculture, but actually Generation Farms, which is now Grimway, which was Bill Gates' purchase here in Eccles County, they employ accountants, biologists, managers, and if you know Spanish, that will help you get those jobs. Valdosta State has an agreement with Sanderson Farms. So Sanderson Farms, which is in Moultrie and Tifton, they start at $50,000 a year if you're in biology or business, and they even a little bit of Spanish will get you those positions. You don't need to be bilingual for those positions. They'll actually pay you to be a summer intern. There's lots of job opportunities in this area if you speak some Spanish. And again, even if you speak a little bit of Spanish, whatever job you're applying to, it will help you. So a lot of people like the ESOL endorsement. An ESOL teacher in Atlanta makes $57K. And we have programs like the English Language Institute, which pay like $2,500 per course that you teach. But getting that endorsement, those 3 classes get you that endorsement, and you can get jobs anywhere by having that endorsement to help in any capacity. We're often getting emails from the Department of Migrant Education. They have lots of positions that need to be filled, and you can be a local tutor for $25 an hour. If you're interested, you can email me. And here's a sample email, you know, that I get often, like, please, if you know anybody, let me know. We have these job openings we need filled immediately. In fact, there is an opening right now at Lowndes County High School right here in town for a substitute teacher. I think to be a substitute teacher, you just need your bachelor's degree and you can go apply at the office, but maybe they would take you even if you didn't have a bachelor's degree, but you were studying Spanish. I'm not sure. You'd have to go to the Lowndes County Board of Education, but there's an opening right now for a substitute teacher. And, you know, if you are interested in education, there are tons of jobs available, and often those degrees are reciprocal. So you can teach anywhere in the United States, and Massachusetts was offering a $10,000 bonus signing just for signing to be a teacher there because they have that much of a shortage. And then I'm just going to say quickly, you know, grad school's such a great idea, as both Phoenix and Dr. Nikolova alluded to. Grad programs will often pay your tuition and offer you a stipend here at VSU, at FSU, UF, UGA. I think University of Florida pays $18,000 a year. I think you sometimes do research or teach a class. So I would just say look up all of these opportunities and see what's out there and apply. I mean, if you get it, great. If you don't get it, you haven't lost anything. I did the Peace Corps. It was the best experience of my life. You make a teacher's salary there and you get $8,000 when you return, and you often get a free master's scholarship if you apply for a Peace Corps master's scholarship. And I think I just heard that they're starting to reopen cities. They were closed for COVID, but now they're reopening. And again, these are any majors. Peace Corps takes any major. And if you want to know more about it, you can ask me or Phoenix, and I can give you more information. And lastly, I'm just going to tell you about the U.S. State Department. If you're a poli-sci major or you're interested in the State Department, I've had members from Tallahassee come up and talk to my classes, and they have special internships for people from the South. They do not have enough people from the Southern United States representing the State Department abroad. So the State Department it pays exceedingly well. You can do an internship in your junior and senior year. If you're interested, again, contact Phoenix or me, and we can send you that information. Locally, I know that Ophelia alluded to this, but I have a class called Spanish 4980, where you can work with the community, and you can work with a migrant education agency, you can tutor, you can work with a migrant clinic, which is in Echoes. It's called the Lake Park Farm Workers Clinic, where you do patient intake. You can work with schools, tutoring in the schools, or it's actually more fun tutoring at home. But right now I have Living Bridges Ministry, which is a organization that helps people in need, and they have a desperate need for interpreters if you are interested. So we have a lot of experiential learning opportunities. Again, that course is SPAN 4980, and you get college credit for working out in the community. I'm not sure, but previously we were able to pay people $500 to take that class. I'll have to talk to Michael Savoy and see if that money is going to be available again for the next semester. We have lots of cool study abroad programs where you can study in Costa Rica. Sometimes we offer it in Cuba, in Spain, sometimes in Ecuador. Hopefully next summer in Puerto Rico. And those are great opportunities where you can immerse yourself abroad. We also have study abroad programs in France and Germany and elsewhere, sometimes in Morocco. So you can check out those opportunities. And I just want to make a pitch here too. If you know people that are not documented, you can help them by sharing this link. This Freedom University of Georgia.com does not charge tuition. And it's something that students can do while they're waiting, perhaps to get DACA passed, or for other opportunities. At least they can continue their education here. So spread the word. And I have here our information. This is my email if you'd like to contact me. And I'm going to turn the meeting over to Phoenix.
All right, everybody. This is Phoenix Gobertson. I am back. So far you have heard about the Department of Modern and Classical Languages, as well as so many different opportunities they provide. Experiential learning is very, very, very important. It's going to make you stand out among your peers if you have education as well as experience. And many times you can merge your academics with your experience, in such as Spanish 4980, where you're getting academic credit, but you're also getting experience at the same time. So those are really good opportunities. So I would highly, highly recommend any type of experiential learning you can get: internship, job shadowing, volunteering, studying abroad. I've done all of them as an undergraduate student, and I cite a lot of that for many of my successes and that I have been able to obtain based on that experience. So now we're going to get into, now that you know about the different opportunities that are provided here at Austin State University, some of you are already participating in these opportunities. Some of you are students within the MCL department. So now what we're going to talk about is how you sell the value of the diversity in language. And I know Dr. Rowling hit on this a little bit, and I'll hit on some of the same points she hit on as well. So the main thing that I want to talk about is human capital. And what human capital is are the attributes, skills, and knowledge you possess that will benefit an employer or workplace. So when we look at human capital, we can break this into three categories: intellectual capital, social capital, and emotional capital. And so some examples of intellectual capital are your degrees, your credentials, your knowledge base, your experience. So if you have a degree in Spanish, that is your intellectual capital. If you have credentials and experience interpreting, translating, knowing the language, knowing the vocabulary, those are all intellectual capital. And then you have social capital, which is that communication piece, being bilingual, multilingual, being able to communicate in more than one language. That is a social capital. Think about socializing and communicating with people. And then the last category is emotional capital. And that's that cultural competency piece, that you have insight and that you have a value of not only your own culture, but different cultures, because in all language programs, you're going to learn the conversation and grammar piece, but you're also going to learn the culture piece, which is very important because it will make you stand out. Like Dr. Welling said, if you have an awareness of other cultures, and you can really highlight that and make yourself stand out. So my action item for anybody watching this is to assess your human capital and then work on the areas that you need improvement to be competitive. So listed are the examples of what the human capital are. So if you know that you have some of those, but maybe not some of the others, assess yourself so you know what you need to work on to make yourself highly competitive and make yourself stand out amongst your peers, so that when it is time for you to enter the workforce, or even before you enter the workforce, if you want to do an internship or some type of opportunity, sometimes those can be very competitive as well. So even in those opportunities, while you're still a student, you need to be competitive. And so that's just a very great way to kind of recognize what human capital is and what are some examples and how you can really hone in on that. And so when you have this capital, that is how you sell the value of that diversity in language. That diversity in language is your human capital. And so you sell that capital to employers in all phases of securing an opportunity. This could be for a job, for an internship, for a fellowship, doing Peace Corps, AmeriCorps, going to graduate school. All of these different opportunities, they want to know, what do you have that makes you stand out amongst everybody else? I want to thank Dr. Ronaldo Martinez. I reached out to him prior to developing this presentation, and he gave me some very, very detailed feedback, especially as it relates to human capital. So I definitely wanted to make sure I recognized him for providing me with some of this great information that I am now providing to you. Okay, so how do you highlight language on your resume? This is kind of, I'm definitely not a narcissist. It's just the best example that I could use. This is actually the top of my resume. And as you'll see in the very beginning of my resume, the second word after my contact information is innovative, and then the second word is bilingual. Now, if you're bilingual, multilingual, trilingual, whatever the case may be, it's important to put that you're bilingual or whatever type of lingual you are, but make sure you actually put the languages that you're bilingual or multilingual in, because there's so many languages out here. It's very important that they know. Another important thing is, don't just assume that they will know that one of your languages is English, because it could not be. Most likely it will be, but that's just something to point out. Something that I did not include on here that is very important: if you're not bilingual, but you still have some type of knowledge or education, as Dr. Welling said, put what level of fluency you have. If it is just novice, it's still more knowledge base and more intellectual capital or social capital that you have against others who have no knowledge of any of the vocabulary at all. So it's very important that you mention that and that you really hone in on that, because a lot of times employers will ask you, what do you have that others don't? Or what can you bring to the table? What's going to make you different than everybody else that has applied? Always, always, always mention the fact about your language and the culture. And a lot of that comes from programs such as those in the Modern and Classical Languages Department. And then some of you were just raised knowing more than one language based off your family dynamic. So whatever the case may be, if you learned it as a child, if you learned it in college and high school, if you learned it by studying abroad, make sure that you include that. And that just brought me to a great point about studying abroad. I wish I would have expanded the picture of this, because you'll see that on my resume, I also have my study abroad experience on there, because that is another example of something that'll make you stand out among everybody else. By studying abroad, you get skills and competencies that others just simply cannot, because studying abroad provides you such a valuable experience. And one of the most greatest skills you can get from studying abroad is adaptability, the ability to adapt to other people, to other cultures, to other languages, and still be able to communicate, be productive, and live in another country, another city, whatever the case may be. Also, mention in your interviews and your elevator pitch. For those of you that don't know what an elevator pitch, the best example is if you go to a career fair and you walk up to an employer and you introduce yourself. You're usually providing an elevator pitch. And an elevator pitch is about 2 to 3 sentences about who you are, what experience you have, in just a few words, and what are your greatest skill sets. This is the perfect time to mention if you are bilingual, multilingual, or you have some type of knowledge base of another language and culture. So an example would be, my name is Phoenix Culbertson. I have experience in higher education, customer service, and leadership. I am bilingual in English and Spanish and have the ability to communicate with a broader group of people. That is the elevator pitch. It tells them in just a few sentences who you are, and it gives them some key words to pull out so that they're intrigued and they want to learn more about, okay, you're bilingual. How did you become bilingual? Where did you study Spanish? Did you learn it growing up? Did you learn it in your education? It just provides some dialogue as well as making you stand out. Okay, so highlighting diversity. Cultural competency, which we also listed as an example of human capital, in the Office of Career Opportunities, in order to be work ready, NACE has developed 8 competencies. And a competency is like the obtainment of a skill or development of a skill that you obtain through different activities, resources, programming, things like that. And so what the global or intercultural fluency is, it is the value, respect, and learn from diverse cultures, races, ages, genders, sexual orientations, religions. The individual demonstrates openness, inclusiveness, sensitivity, and the ability to interact respectfully with all people and understand an individual's difference. Diversity is such a hot topic right now, so much so that major corporations are creating departments and positions for just diversity and inclusion efforts. Another good example is about 3 years ago, we just got a student diversity and inclusion department at Valdosta State University, which also speaks to the relevance and the importance of diversity. So it's a very hot topic, and it's very big in businesses, state agencies across the nation and across the world. So it's something you want to highlight on your resume, and not just in your resume, but even in your dialogue and in the way you carry yourself and the way you speak and what you say. Be able to really take pride in the fact that you have a cultural competency that you have gained through learning and adapting to other cultures, through learning languages or participating and studying abroad and things of that nature. All right. I know Dr. Welling went into many different career paths and even current opportunities that people that are actively seeking. And I would recommend any of you to take advantage of those. If you need help applying for those, if you need help with your resume, cover letter, anything like that, of course, our office is here to help you. And these are just some career paths that you can take. This is not an exhaustive list. Being a language major, there's so much you can do because language is a part of everything. In any field, there has to be some form of language for people to communicate. But some common examples of career paths are translators, interpreters, educators, language intelligence, customer service, linguist, political risk analyst, and diplomatic service officer. And there's so many more. So if you are a language major and you know that you really have a passion for that language, but you don't know exactly what you want to do with it, again, our office is here to help you. As well as the faculty within your department that are willing to help you as well. All right, so what is the job outlook? I use Spanish as an example because, one, it's the second highest spoken language in the United States, but even more so, the United States is the second largest Spanish speaking country behind Mexico. And some resources and articles and people in academia are estimating that by 2050, US could have more Spanish speakers than Mexico. So that tells you that Spanish is very much so growing and very much so relevant. So any of you guys that are thinking about learning Spanish, majoring in Spanish, becoming bilingual, it's so relevant, it's so useful, and it applies in any field. And even in South Georgia, there are so many opportunities for you that other people may not be able to obtain based simply on the fact that they are able to speak Spanish in South Georgia, where we're in a rural community where there are many Spanish speakers. So I just want to really hone in on that. The job outlook is growing for language majors as language, diversity, and inclusion are expanding in their prevalence in conversation, dialogue, and even the recognition of their value. So my recommendation for you is, if you know you're interested in a language, but you don't know what you want to do, identify a career path that is lacking professionals that are fluent in the language you're interested in, but they have a great population of individuals who need that service. For example, like Dr. Welling said, court interpreters. They're lacking professionals who are bilingual or speak Spanish and have the ability to interpret. However, they have a great population of individuals who need that service, who are needing those translations. So that tied in perfectly, and I'm so glad she stated that, because it just provides an example of what this means. And so that is something that I would encourage you as a student to be thinking about if you're unsure about what it is you want to do with your language, or if you even want to major in a language and how you want to utilize it. All right, and then this is the last slide. The reason I included this is because sometimes stereotypical assumptions can be made, such as, say you submit your resume and you are stereotyped to either speak a language or to belong to a certain culture, belong to a certain ethnicity based off your first or last name. And when you have those instances, sometimes as young professionals or even as students, we don't know how to respond to that by responding to it in a professional way, but also addressing that there's a problem there, but finding out how you can professionally do that. So, for example, employers may assume that you speak a language based on your name. They may make assumptions about your race or ethnicity. They may make assumptions about your capabilities because you belong to a certain ethnicity or group of people. They may assume that you only have value, and this is something that a faculty member brought up that I really want to hone in on. They may assume that you speak a language based on your last name, even if it that you're bilingual is not on your resume. And then when you get there and they find out that you really don't speak that language, that you have no value, when in reality, just because you don't speak a language to a culture you belong to or to an ethnicity that you belong to, you still have value. And there's way to sell the value that you have culturally and just your basic knowledge of it, even if you're not fully fluent. And then another assumption that sometimes is made up from employers is about your family or your upbringing based off what country you're from, what languages you speak. So in any instances like this, and it can be, difficult for students and young professionals to kind of navigate and address how they feel, but in all instances, you want to remain professional, but also voice your thoughts. Do not let your voice be silenced. At the same time, think before you speak. So as hard as it may be, don't respond out of emotion. Give yourself a few moments to kind of think and reflect and form the words in your head before they come out. Because what you don't want to do is burn a bridge that you might need, or come off as unprofessional, and then word gets out to other employers that you're unprofessional just from this one, because people do talk, especially in business and things like that. So anytime you have any of these instances, just remain professional. There's ways to overcome it. For example, if an employer says, oh, your last name is XYZ. I thought you spoke this language. Now that you're here, I don't need you because you only speak English and I'm looking for somebody to speak Spanish. One's response might be, okay, well, thank you so much for the interview. Have a good day. That might be one's response, but there's a better way to overcome that and say, I recognize that I'm not fluent in that language. However, based off my experience and my immersion in that culture with those people, I still have a cultural competency and an awareness that other individuals may not. And although I am not completely fluent in this language, I have enough information and background to carry a conversation and get the point across based off what that individual needs, and to grow and develop on it and not take as long because I already have a foundation and knowledge on it. And it's already 5 o'clock. Time has really flown by. But I hope anything that we said today, I hope that you really take it into consideration. I hope that you actually utilize what we've said. We've all gave you great advice, great opportunities for you out there. So many people looking for language majors, even right now in the midst of all the craziness that's going on in the world. So I would encourage all of you just to research those opportunities. And if you don't know where to look, come to Career Opportunities, talk to your faculty, talk to your professors. A lot of professors have connections that you would never know about unless you talk with them, and they can connect you with employers and opportunities that you otherwise would not be able to be connected to. So with that being said, are there any questions from anybody? Any questions? Okay. All right, everybody. Well, if there are no questions, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you to the faculty that joined us. Thank you to the students that joined us. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you, Dr. Nikolova. Thank you, Dr. Welling, for participating in this and willing to do it. It's something that's been talked about before, like we said, but never executed. So I'm glad that we were finally able to execute it. And I hope it's something that we can continue to do every semester, so we can really promote and push the benefits and the so many opportunities that you have as a VSU student that you may be unaware of. Thank you so much for your time. If you need anything at all, I'm in Career Opportunities. We're in the Student Union right behind Starbucks. You can also find us on our website, valdosta.edu/career, and we can help you virtually or in person. And before I get off, I see Elise's hand is up, so I'm going to allow her time to say what she would like to say. Okay, her hand is down now. So, oh wait, it's back up.
Sorry, I'm on my computer and it's a little crazy. I just wanted to ask, is this recording going to be available where?
That is a great question. I'm so glad you asked that because I did not mention that. This is going to be recorded. It will be sent out to all the students that participated. But in addition to that, it's actually going to be posted to the MESA's YouTube channel. So anytime we have an event on Teams, we're recording it and we're uploading it. So feel free to share that link with any of your peers, friends, classmates that weren't able to make it, and so that they also can see this information and access it at any time. So thank you so much, Elise, for asking that. That was a very important question, and it will be recorded and it will be available at any time on the MESA YouTube channel, which will eventually be uploaded to the website. So anybody that participated, you'll receive an email with that link, which you can gladly share out to anybody that you're wanting to share it with. I see there's something in the chat. Okay, there's no questions. All right, well, if nobody has any more questions, again, thank you so much for your participation. It's been a great event. I was glad to be your host, and I'm just thankful for everybody. And I think Dr. Pata has something that she might want to say because she just unmuted herself.
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you. And also something to keep in mind when you go and look for a job, they also ask you for recommendation letters. So please have ready your resume because we want to create excellent recommendation letters. And sometimes we don't know you. So it will be nice to just have a broad idea about who you are, if you went to study abroad or you participated in a community activity. And that will help us a lot because we really care for you to get a job. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Potter. Yes, that is, I'm so glad she said that. Yes, not to hold you guys up, but if you want a letter of recommendation from somebody, one, let it be somebody who can speak to some form of either your work ethic, your research ability, your education. But another important thing is to send their resume so when they're writing your letter of recommendation, they know what to write about and what points to highlight so that what they're saying aligns with the credentials and the experience that you're telling the employers you already have. So thank you so much, Dr. Potter, for mentioning that. That is very, very important. And I completely agree with everything she just said. Do we have any more comments, questions, concerns, anything like that? All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much. Everybody be safe. Have a great evening. And thank you so much for joining us. And we hope to see you next time.
Thank you, Phoenix.
Thank you, Dr. Nikolova. Have a great day.
Thank you all. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, students.
All right, everybody. You all have a great day. Bye-bye.